Oh, the second reason for your regular audio is to listen for EVPs. I don't re-listen to your regular audio because I have all the stories memorized. So I'm looking at all of your other stuff, not the regular audio. So if you guys hear voices that weren't ours, or somebody that may have been nearby, or something that's a direct message, you guys got to let me know. You're going to have my contact info so you can be able to do that. All right, so back to thermal imaging. Sorry, kind of bouncing around here a little bit. You guys see me in there, right? I'm orange, red, and yellow, my skin. So everything around me should be somewhat blue and black. So those are the colder areas because my skin is obviously much warmer than the things behind me, even though it's still probably 72 degrees out here. So it's going to fluctuate based on the entire night. So you take me out of it, that red, orange, and yellow is going to go somewhere else. So the key is to try to keep somebody's skin in the picture most of the night. I won't say all the time, but it does help. And I'll give you guys evidence as we kind of go through each location to show you really what we're looking for here. This is kind of an intro just to get the devices in your guys' hands. So, Brett, it's going to go to you. What's the dynamic here, guys? Is it mom, dad, daughter? Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're dating. That's not.
I never know, dude. That could be your niece for all I know. So, all right. So, and if the other group shows up, you guys already have all the cool stuff. So,
All right.
because I got to get the recordable stuff out first.
You got dark shadows in your eyes.
It's because I'm a ghost. I don't exist.
Spirit boxes.
Cameron's eyes are all brightly lit up, and yours are all dark.
Surprise, I just have dark circles.
Huh? No, it's not. Look at Mom's eyes.
Well, I have glasses
I
on.
know, but it still cracks me up.
Oh, there you go. It was
So
the
it
glasses.
does not see through glass.
There you go.
It's not designed to do that. It still looks at just the temperature of the glass, and that's what you're visually seeing. So spirit boxes, I have 3 different types. This one in particular is going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations.
next chance can we get?
It's not bad. So look, 2 adults, 3 kids. That's the next group.
Yeah.
So what this is going to do is it's that white noise you normally hear on the ghost hunting shows and YouTube and all that mess, and then Zach Bagans tells you what he thinks he heard. So we're going to be, that's probably them. We're going to actually have this slow down.
I'm sorry, we're late.
Nope,
Give us
wasn't
20
that.
minutes.
Yeah, not going to happen. Not on a Friday night. So this one is slowed down a little bit. It's not just white noise. I want the radio chatter to come through. I want the DJs and the song lyrics and the commercials. I want all that stuff to come through. So again, I have it slowed down on purpose so you can get that radio chatter. Will we get disembodied voices like what they catch on TV? Sure. We never know what's going to happen. So it's already recording. That's the cool thing. And even it's not going to record any outside voices. So it's only recording the radio sweep even when it's on mute.
normal?
So
You guys listening?
Yes.
so Cameron, even when I tell you to go ahead and turn this down, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's already recording. So you guys, when you get your recording back tomorrow morning, it's got to be at a nice, even volume for you. So you have one button. It's real simple. It's a wheel at the very top.
Okay.
It just controls the volume. So that one's going to go to you. Mom, you're going to go with another type of spirit box. And then I'm going to use something too, unless that group shows up here in the next 3
Go back.
minutes.
Mom will love this.
So this one is a phone app. So come on, she wants to wake up. So this one, here's what I'm going to tell you about this guy. It's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen. They call this an ovulus when you look at them on TV, and there's a separate device called an ovulus. This is probably the closest thing that I could find where I can actually give stuff back to you. So the cool thing is it saves the list, and then I can copy and paste it with all the timestamps, reference it with the video and the spirit box and all of that mess, and then give you guys the bolded terms that actually made sense to what was actually happening around us, the story I'm telling, or the history I'm giving. So with that said, 80% of what's on that list, of your list, is going to be BS. It's not going to mean anything. It's the other 5 to 20% that I will research and figure out what it actually meant. Most of the time it's going to trigger something based on the stories, but I'm also a very outside the box thinker. Am I going to stretch things? More than likely not. I will tell you if it's a stretch if I don't have another clue to go along with it. So if you show me a word and it says weak, that's part of the 80%, meaning it doesn't mean anything. So that's kind of what we have to do here.
Alright.
You have a very simple, all you have to do is watch and read. Really
That's
cool.
all.
That's it. Really
I don't
cool
have to
stuff.
punch anything.
Nope.
I just have to.
So at times, I may say, what do we have on our list? That's where you hit the little calendar to the right of the word,
Calendar, okay.
and then you circle back.
Okay.
And then the only thing you don't want to do is hit clear or export or any of those red X's.
Circle back.
Circle back. You got it. So, last but not least, I'm going to be using my new tool because I'm still learning more and more things about it. So what this guy does is it's going to measure 3 different things for us. So the first thing is, in case Dad actually has a cold anomaly on there, I can measure the ambient temperature based on the probe that's on this yellow clip right here. So I can actually find where that cold spot is coming from, and then we can still try to debunk things from there. Again, I'm not going to make stuff up for you guys. The second thing is it's going to have an EMF meter on it. Right now it's at 1.8, then back down to 0, only because we're in line with the parking meters. So parking meters and crosswalks are always going to be super active because the electrical lines are underneath the streets. So I don't get excited about those. So at times...
This is like active? Red and 0 is active?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it's at 0, it doesn't mean anything for me.
Okay.
0.4 and above is where I start to watch if there's a pattern, like if it goes to 0.4 to 0.8, 0.4 to 0.8, and I'm like, oh, that must be something man-made. I have another EMF meter that's very sensitive, like the one they use on TV, but this one's a little bit more scientific. The last thing that it does is it detects motion. So it creates an EMF field around this antenna. See how close I have it. So in an event something gets close to it that we can't see, it's going to make noises. As it gets closer, it'll go up higher until it's touching it. So it gets really annoying on your audio, so I don't always have it on all the time. Plus, I don't keep it on when I'm telling stories just because I don't want to be interrupted.
Okay.
So with that being said, I'll keep the antenna down. This will kind of stay in my side pocket. You might even see me kind of venture off away from you guys in a specific area where I'm like, hey, let me go test this out while you guys have this going on. That'll give you a chance to be a little bit more comfortable with the spirit box. You don't want the teacher hanging around all the time. So people just get a little weird about that. So I think that should cover us. So you guys are going to get that list, that recording, and the audio recording. Okay. So we start here again because this place is haunted. It used to be called Big John's. So Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. So what happened with him is he owned the bar, and he would sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. So what would happen is 2 guys came in one night, they weren't of age. He told the bartender to get them out of here, they're not old enough. They left. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's happening, so they get in a big old bar fight. It's Big John versus these 2 guys. So a couple of shots go off, John gets hit in the neck. He goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, and they get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance. Now, first off, nobody died in that story. What's haunting the place? It's the bullet hole that ricocheted off of John and landed in the front of the bar. And the front of the bar is the only place I get any EMF readings at all, and also people that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headaches, those kind of things. If any of you guys have any of those symptoms at all, I need to know immediately. It is a big deal. Again, I'm the real deal. So I have things on me to protect us, and it's been working for the past 9-10 months, but just in case, slightest headache, I want to know. Let's get our minds off our own health. So nobody wants to hear that they're going to get sick from my tour. If you don't already know, we had a big earthquake here in 1886. So allegedly, this is where the first death occurred. The mantle above your heads also wraps around the front of the building, and apparently a piece of it broke off and struck somebody in the head and killed them. Do I have evidence of that? I do not. However, it's a great story to get your mind that you might have a headache later on. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
If we give these people enough time, 18 minutes, I think we're good. We're gonna roll.
Well, you got paid, so whatever.
Well, it's not whatever. It's pretty a beverage.
That's true.
These are what keep you going. Yeah, take it a second. I hope they don't think they're gonna get on tomorrow because I'm filled up now. And I don't go over now.
They're having a good time in the bar.
Yeah. My bag's a little lighter. I can crossbody it. Alright, so you guys are going to find, first off, I love parking lots. I'm not going to just take you to random parking lots. It's not a, hey, you should not park here. I'm taking you to places that once were. So, what was this place? Well, first off, it's the Big Red Barn. It still has horses in it that we hold for your carriage rides. So, they're still in there. You're the only one that has a noisemaker, so if you're going to be close to the front of the barn over there, those horses don't have windows. Like they have those open windows, but there's no glass there. They get a little spooked from too much slop noise. They don't like my spirit box. So if you wanted a jump scare, that's the way to do it, by the way. But this is the same red barn that actually held horses for delivering milk to Charleston. So whenever I'm telling you any history, 1947 New York Giants, delivery of milk, these are key words that we want to be listening for and watching for our new spirit boxes. And then, of course, we're going to get into a little bit more with your thermal imaging camera. Yeah.
It says homicide.
Homicide. Interesting. I'm surprised it doesn't say suicide. There was a suicide nearby. So, interesting. But spirit boxes, this isn't YouTube, this ain't TV, this isn't is somebody here, right? Because if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. Okay, they just lied to you. And if you hear a real estate commercial come through and it said the word houses, you may think you heard the word yes. We're just going to stay away from yes or no questions altogether. It's too easy to there's always a way to reword it. And with you guys pretty much working together on this, you guys can help each other reword questions. But we're going to ask simple things that we already know of. We all know that the barn is red, right? Unless somebody's colorblind and I offended, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you it's red. So with that said, if somebody's hanging out with us, tell me what color that barn is. Wait for the answer red or something specifically red. So with something specifically red, it can be fire truck, heart, blood, anything that is specifically red happens all the time. I want you to think, did you guys see the movie Transformers?
You probably did.
I did.
All right,
Which
well,
one?
Bumblebee talks through the radio.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for here. We want him to talk to us through the radio. You could also get things like jersey numbers, so any 2-digit numbers. Even if if you heard a full phone number, I'm still going to look at all of those numbers together to see if it's a jersey number and matches up with a name that you might have on your spirit box. In the event you don't get something specific like heart, blood, fire truck, or red, then I want you to say what's inside the barn. Now we just opened it up. Anything related to horses, they're draft horses, that's their breed. They delivered milk, so we could get the word calcium. That's happened before. They also delivered eggs, so eggs and protein. These are all things that could pop up on your spirit box. Do I find it coincidental? No, not at all, especially if I have more than one clue and my EMF meter is going crazy. That's my first clue. You have the word eggs, boom. You got somebody, a stable boy that probably used to work here is telling us about what's inside the barn, because that's what he used to load up the carriages with. So this is literally a place for us to kind of explore. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is kind of your novice level, just to get used to your devices. But I do want to, kind of go over a little bit more with your, thermal imaging camera. So if the two ladies want to start wandering around and you get that spirit box going, then that way you guys can get used to it. I'll talk to Dad here for a few minutes, and then we'll probably get on out of here unless you hear stuff, and we'll hang out.
Just look at the words.
Yeah, but you guys can be asking questions together, so that way the answer can go anywhere. All right, so let's find a blank space. You got this wood panel right here. Go ahead and just shoot it right at the wood panel. You see how it kind of bleeds out? The reason why I say keep somebody in the picture, you see how the wall kind of probably turned blue now? Yeah. So that's kind of what we're looking for. We really want to just try to, and the technology of the thermal imaging camera isn't something that is like with our cell phones now. It's not going to be perfectly clear. It's not going to be, I always have to play guessing games in the event that I do find something. Most of the time I can debunk it pretty quickly, but I do have evidence, and I'll show you throughout the different locations of like, hey, these little two black dots, those are moving intelligently. This wave of blueness that's on this person that is in a nice hot summer night that is obviously well over 95 degrees, that blue spot shouldn't be there. Watch it move away. Those kind of things. Like, that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
The other cool thing here for you is because we have asphalt, we have brick, we have metal, foliage, cars. Also, just so you know, people get really weird about us filming cars. So if somebody's walking up to their vehicle in one of these lots we're going to be in throughout the night, just kind of be casual with your phone. People get really weird about it. But I will tell you, if I was a car thief, that would be the first tool I'd have.
Yeah.
Because you can see how long the cars have been here.
True.
So again, based on their heat signature, you can kind of see. But here, I just kind of want you to get the feel of like how things move, how do they fluctuate based on, you have metal and asphalt in, what happens here. Just basically toy around with it for a few minutes if something occurs here.
This car is cold.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought one of the reasons I bought that thing was because one of the places I used to go to has like a suicide hanging in it, so I wanted to be looking in the windows with it, but it doesn't see through glass. I didn't know that when I bought it, but I'm like, it's still a great device. So what do we have?
I don't know. 600, 958.
958. So I'm looking at 95 or 58. So those sound like Jersey numbers to me. It sounds like something specific. You have to remember this is slowed down, so it's going to pick up words before and after the thing I actually need.
Oh my god, that's weird.
What, what's it say?
Jordan.
Who's Jordan?
Our
Oh,
niece.
My niece.
Is she alive?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
That's just
I have
weird.
to ask.
Yeah, it's
So-
just weird, yeah.
Is there somebody close to Jordan that's not alive?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
So just keep looking for clues. I've had tours where it didn't matter what story I told. It was all related to one person. Their father came through, an old war buddy, something.
Tony?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, but why would Tony just be picking Jordan?
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll just kind of keep
I
an
mean,
eye
Jordan's the first grandchild.
And I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, I see that name all the time.
Oh, okay.
I probably see it maybe once or twice a week.
Okay.
So if I'm working 6 nights a week, that's how many? That's about 60 words a night, so 360
So
words a
there's
week.
there's a guy named Jordan here.
Yeah, it might be. But I actually looked that name up on the roster of Big John's teammates. There's no Jordan.
Okay.
First or last.
No Michael Jordan.
No, not on football.
Could be Jordan's dad.
So let's turn
He's
that up
from,
just a hair, so
he's
maybe
from
I can help
Yorktown.
you what I'm hearing. I like the 958. Like, that's good.
What's the radio station?
But
That's what we
I
want.
mean, there's some.
Only imagine. There we go. I don't want to speak those words.
The 20.
20 something.
You should take a picture of the Jordan for Jordan.
Well, actually, the 22nd would be relevant to our next location.
That'll
So
freak her
hopefully
out.
That's a good sign.
Oh, it went to Chimp.
That's why we
Chimp.
report it. Chip?
Chimp.
Chimp. I don't think I've ever seen that come up.
Said control.
Jordan's a monkey.
Jordan's a monkey.
Emotional suffering.
Oh. It's freaky.
Thousand. Alright, so we definitely have some clues related to the next location already. We think we heard the 22nd. So I heard 20 something, but she thinks that she heard 22nd. We can definitely verify tomorrow. Got to be one of the worst. Jordan should have been one.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, you guys ready to learn some girl history now?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go this way. Go ahead and get that.
Her hair is cool. It's all blue.
He meant literally cool, not the cool slang term.
I don't think hair has heat.
That's tough.
So it's gonna take a minute. What's the temperature you have on there? That's not on me. Maybe on the ground.
76, 74. No, now it's 60. If I just do the air,
Yeah. Well, if you go too high, it's gonna just measure open air. It would be in the 60s or 50s.
so the wall says 93, but it's probably sucked up heat from the day. This sign's 83.
Okay. So I'm at 77 ambient temperature, so I just want to try to keep an eye. I've just all of a sudden felt a little bit cooler in here. I don't know why. If it's maybe the winds were. But anyway, I try not to put my feelings into stuff. That's why I want to measure it. So again, another beautiful spot. Ghost hunting isn't always pretty. Sorry, guys. But this place actually used to be the Pinckney Mansion, so home to Eliza and Charles Pinckney. Have you guys heard anything about them on other tours down here?
I've seen the name.
Okay, so
We just got here, but
I don't know what other tours. I didn't hang out with you guys all day. So with this particular place, their mansion was in the front. Eliza's garden was on the left-hand side next to that tree, and then it came all the way across, and we're standing where the slave and servant quarters used to be. So that was basically the plat of the land. So who the hell were Eliza and Charles? They had a son named Charles, that's the second one, and then they had a nephew named Charles. So there's 3 Charleses that we're dealing with in this location. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. I hate politics. We just got out of an election year. Let's move on to Eliza. I just have to mention something, signing documents that we're recording. So Eliza, she actually married Charles at a young age. By the way, this is not a place where I'm going to be giving you answers like what color is George Washington's white horse. This is where your spirit boxes are going to be giving you those kind of answers. So the age at which she got married, I'm not going to give you that. But with that being said, I see a couple looking over here, but I don't see any kids. Okay.
It says tick.
Does it say tick?
Yeah, tick.
Like TikTok.
Tick.
They're late. Only by what, 30 minutes? Yep, 29 minutes. So, at any rate, so she got married to Charles, and there was a big age gap between them. So maybe you can ask what age Charles was when they got married, how many years difference there were. Those are good questions. But she got married because her father thought he was dying over in England, and he wanted all of his kids home. She didn't want to go, so she just got married. And we're talking mid-colonial time, like 1740s, 1750s. So it didn't give her citizenship because it wasn't a thing as citizenship yet. So it just said, Dad, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay put. I don't think you're dying. Just get better. So he did, but she was right. So what's he do? He starts sending over wedding gifts. One of those gifts happened to be indigo. So you guys have been here for at least a day.
The blue.
That I know of. You've been seeing the blue dye.
color.
Yeah. So it actually makes our blue jeans blue. Most of you guys are wearing it right now. That's how we still use it today. Some companies still use it that way. It was very expensive. Rice plantations were going downhill. She swooped right in, called Dad up, and said I need contacts overseas so I can start selling this stuff. That's where Royal Blue came from. And then even our Civil War. So the Confederate soldiers wore gray, and our Union soldiers wore blue. The gray uniforms were just less indigo. So we just didn't have as much money as the North. So a lot of stuff that she did around colonial times, but I'm just kind of giving you the very skim of it. But there's a lot of weird facts about Eliza that you guys can go into with your spirit boxes. I don't know where tick is coming from. I'm going to call that part of 80%. But Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So both Elizas went by their maiden name, and they both start with the letter L. That's all I'm going to give you. Okay. So it's Eliza blank Pinkney. Obviously, you can ask how old she was when she got married. Ask anything you want to about her death. So how old she was, where did she die, what did she die from, where is she buried, which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. That's a big one. So a lot of people go straight into that one. So, and also these, you might get clues to which president it is. You might get clues to asking other questions. When you're asking your own questions, make sure it's stuff I can prove. I can't prove how she felt about her marriage. I can't prove how she felt, like we did get the emotional suffering, but that deals with one of the children. Speaking of, don't poke the bear. She does not normally like to talk about. There was a tragedy among her children at a very young age. She doesn't like to talk about it. The fact that I'm even talking about it now is probably too much. So just don't poke around. You can maybe ask how many kids she had, how many boys, how many girls, kind of see what numbers we come up with. Numbers don't lie. So I do want you guys to kind of explore this lot a little bit on your own. This is one of those places about the CARB or people coming into their cars. It's a very busy lot. This is the only entrance and exit, so people will fly in here pretty quickly. We don't make ghost series stories in the cemetery, so just watch for the cars. But yeah, you can definitely crank up your spirit box a little bit louder here. If you want to pull the antenna out, you can.
She's crying.
And I did hear the word baby before that emotional suffering.
Ah.
So again, one of her kids died as an infant.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I'm like, I can tie that together, but I want more. Detailed. So ask maybe what her kids' names were. See if you can get some kids' names out of it.
Yeah.
So have some fun with that. Dad, do you want to see some evidence before you go venture out? Because this is one of the places where I get a ton of evidence. So the location I'm going to show you is actually up in that corner, up there where that white van is. Mm-hmm. What'd you get?
Devil.
80%. She's really into this, huh?
Yeah, she is.
So anytime I get solid evidence, it goes into this evidence folder. So this is that wall. I'll kind of hold it up so you can see it. But there's two living people walking by. Do you see their heads?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go into the two dead people. Come on. So they're gonna be going past the wall the opposite way, starting right about there. And there's literally two heads. This guy here is always in view, so they should have been the same color.
Yeah.
So this is I mean, I've analyzed this with mechanics and firemen, and you can see like it's definitely two heads walking through. And it's pretty significant. Like that's a good piece for me anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you look
Oh,
for.
we'll walk around.
Yeah.
Come up here and ask mom, be with mama and ask questions.
How many kids did you have? One thing I got so far was purpose.
Was she happy here at this house?
How old were you when you got married? What was the age difference between you and your husband?
How many kids did she have?
How many kids did you have?
So are you here right now?
Did she build this house that was here?
I said, are you here right now?
That's a yes or no question.
She's here.
I said, are you here right now?
Lisa didn't answer yes.
Who was the president at your
This
funeral?
thing is spiking all over the place over here.
Who's the president of the funeral? Does it give you an answer?
Anything above 24, I get excited about. See how it's going all
This
over?
woman.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the president of the funeral?
Ooh, woman.
I said that before I asked that.
Q4.
What number president was he? Yeah.
Aunt.
So there is a story. This place turned into a bar later on, and somebody was at the bar and they kind of went into a drunken stupor, passed out. When they woke up, they swore they saw a full apparition of a woman in a blue dress. The first instinct is to say that it was Eliza, but it turns out, based on the period of the dress, it was the aunt of Eliza, who used to visit her quite often. So,
All right.
yeah, this thing is literally just popping all over the place. Eliza, I need you to get close to the little metal stick here like we did before.
Good dancing.
Huh?
What's up, Eliza?
Good dancing.
Did you like your aunt, Eliza? How many boys?
Hermit.
How many kids did you have? How many boys did you have? Did you have a pretty garden in your house?
There's someone. And I'm listening to that as I'm watching what this guy's doing, because it's all over the place. So I'm watching these numbers here, how they're kind of just dancing all over. And I turned the temperature off so it would just focus on the EMF and the REM pod.
You around here, Liza? What did it say?
Systemic racism.
Yeah.
She had slaves.
She had slaves?
A lot. She had plantations.
Did she treat her slaves well?
Export.
To my knowledge, she did. Like the sermons at her
You
house.
say
she treated
export?
Export.
She sold the slaves? Is that what you're saying?
No, she actually had quite a few servants just for the house that she was pretty close with. So
Did they make you a poop pie?
it's not going as crazy as it was.
Find anything?
She says permit.
Oh, that's been that way for a while, huh?
Yeah.
You have permission to come.
That's what I said. It's like everybody says I'm the nicest person ever, so you can trust me.
That's a second time, and that's a big difference.
Now it's barely doing anything.
That's good. Maybe she's bored with us.
Well, it's only called ghost hunting. You gotta move around.
All right, move around.
It'll keep working.
What's on there?
Permit red ant woman here spot devil detailed wall cry. She's been stuck on permit.
It's a new country.
That was a new country. Is after the Revolutionary War?
New country.
You guys seeing this?
Yeah.
That's detecting movement. And this thing has been going all the way up to 60.
Is that why it's doing a siren?
No, it does a siren because something is around the antenna.
Okay.
And it doesn't detect wind. It has to be an EMF force of some kind. Sorry, you can blink, it's a little blind. Now it's gone.
Okay. Bye.
Hello, Eliza.
Back.
Yeah, make it go to purple. You're a little bit closer than you were. You can also ask what happened to the mansion. Like, it's obviously not here anymore.
Right.
What happened to the mansion?
We missed the mansion.
We'd rather have the mansion than the parking lot.
I'm sure you would too.
What happened to the mansion?
What did it say? Still say permit.
Yep.
Liza, are you around?
Baby L. Show me an L word.
What was your favorite flower at your house? Who was the president at your funeral?
We're not talking tonight, are we?
What year did you die?
Sid might be afraid.
What year did she die?
What year did you die? How old were you when you got married?
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color?
Oh, you know, you're. Come let the experts in.
Now on to Kyle.
She piled on?
49.
49? What's 49, Eliza? Pile of 49? Grandmother. Did your grandmother die
Earlier it said
in like
47. Earlier it said 22, so maybe she was 22 and her husband 49 when they got married.
Were you 49 when you died?
How old was she when she got married? Well, we had a 22 and a 49, so we're not sure if he was 49 and she was 22 or...
Close. She was 22. He was 45.
22 and 45.
That's why I think 22nd was also relatable.
We got 22.
I've got grandmother.
This thing was going crazy over here again, and then just stopped. I was trying to get the video because it.
There it goes.
Is that me though? Looks like it might be me. I mean, the numbers are going nuts here.
21.
I heard 21.
James. Is that one of your child's names, James?
We're talking
No.
medical.
Okay. What is James?
That's what this is named after.
Oh, I knew that song.
Right.
Every once in a while, I'll throw something in there like, "A little Aerosmith for your listening pleasure at this marker," just to see who's paying attention. Now it's going nuts again. Come on, get close to that little metal stick, just like that.
Call me a fool?
What did it say?
I think call me a fool.
May not have been directed at you. That just said, "Hey Nick." Did you hear that?
Nick another ghost.
It happens here all the time.
Said too difficult.
Get closer, Elijah. Come on. As soon as this thing started going off, that said, "Hey Nick." That's really cool. This is one of the places I used to use the reverse spirit box and get all kinds of stuff added to it. Alright, you guys ready for some answers?
Hey, Hal, come over. He's
Let me
gonna
get
tell
you guys
stories.
some answers. Go ahead and set that down. You got anything else come up?
Suburb.
Suburb. We got a "Hey Nick" as soon as my EMF thing started going crazy.
Oh,
So
what?
it said "Hey
It
Nick."
said, hey, Nick.
It did not.
It did.
On the radio.
It was a radio, but it was still a "Hey Nick." My name shows up here quite a bit. Again, this is not a scary thing. I
No,
always
I'm
take
not
you guys
scared.
to, places that they know me. I'm here 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
So the answers to the questions that I gave you, Eliza was 22 when she got married. Charles was 45, so there was a 23-year age gap between them. I usually get 22, 23, or 45. Eliza was 70 when she died, so we usually get that number as well. And that was in Philadelphia. So she went up there because she died of breast cancer, and she was going up there for treatment. And again, this was 1793, so I always listen for the number 93 as well. So breast cancer wasn't a thing in 1793. We're going based off her medical records. So glad you're fact checking me. But that's also where she's buried. So that also tells you why we don't go to cemeteries. I don't get a whole lot of evidence out of cemeteries because you're not going to hang out where you're buried after you're dead. So you're going to go to places that you love. Let's see what else I have you guys ask. Oh, the president. Any guesses?
I didn't get anything.
In 93, so it's after. So.
My timelines are screwed
Well, it's
up
got to
with
be
presidents.
Adams or.
Buchanan.
Sure. 1793?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's got to be like
George
Adams.
Washington.
Bingo.
There you
Was it
go.
Washington?
Washington.
Was it that Stevie George Washington?
Yep. So her husband
Oh, that-
was a governor. So he knew his 13 governors pretty well because he only had 13 of them. So he spent quite a bit of time with the Pinckney family. So after what Eliza did with the indigo crops, Washington saw that and they obviously became almost partners. So yeah, he was a pallbearer willingly at her funeral. So I usually get anything wrapped up around George Washington. So Washington is a lot to get out. So wood, because of his wooden dentures, apples, pie, Martha. All of those terms have come up here in the past when you ask that question of who was the pallbearer. And obviously apples, because he lived pretty much on an apple farm. Martha was his wife, those kind of things. But just to give you an example of like that particular spirit box, 2 weeks ago I had Denzel Washington show up on an EVP through there. Now, again, it'll pick up words before and after. First off, Denzel hasn't had a movie out in a while, and if he did, I don't know. So why the hell are they talking about him on the radio? Which means we were probably meant to hear the word Washington because that's the question they asked. They literally turned around and said, "Was it Washington?" I'm like, "It was Washington." The next morning I verified the Denzel Washington. Let's see what else. The mansion burned down in the Great Fire of 1861. So the number 61, fire, flame, smoke, candle, anything dealing with flame usually shows up here too. And again, that was long after Eliza's death, almost 70 years, but this was in a great fire, which means it took out a lot of buildings. This one went from Peninsula Coast to Peninsula Coast. We've had dozens of them. I don't know what started it. So again, it started on this side, so this was literally right in the way as soon as it got started. What other questions? 4 kids, Charles, George, Thomas, and 1 daughter, Harriet. So 4 kids total. George was the son that died early, like within days or weeks, because we don't really know. But she named the son after her father. So we have 3 Georges and 3 Charleses that we're dealing with in this location. So that's why I usually say I look for another clue. So if we get the name George, it's like, oh great, what was the question you asked, and do I have another clue? Did it say son? Did it say infant? We've got the word baby. Those kind of things. Emotional suffering. All of those extra clues. Any other questions that you guys asked that maybe I can answer for you? Oh, 22nd, we got that. Because there's a debate. Some websites say her birthday was December 22nd, others say December 28th. Most of them say 28th. So that's why I was like, oh, 22nd, that makes sense. It could have also been her 22nd year of life is when she got married. So kind of tit for tat on that one. I'm going to take the 22 that we got over there relatable to here because of how old she was when she got married. Any other questions that I might be able to ask about this location?
Grandmother.
You guys pretty much got them all?
You got grandmother in there.
Yeah, she would have definitely been a grandmother and knew her grandchildren.
Okay.
Terms around writing also
Barrel.
come around here too. Writing because Harriet married in Horry. Horry County is where Myrtle Beach is. So Harriet lived up in the Georgetown, Myrtle Beach area, more Myrtle's Inlet, because of their plantation. But they had to write letters because it wasn't a car ride. It was, would have literally taken pretty much all day to get there by carriage. So a lot of writing back and forth, and all of those letters have been published.
What did she say?
Here,
Here's your
another here. Gardening, anything dealing with gardening come up at all? Soil.
I asked
shovel,
that. I said, did you like your garden?
You usually get something a little bit more direct. Dirt, flowers, bulbs. Okay, the word blue shows up here a lot too, obviously, for me to go. All right.
along.
Too vague. From here, we're going to walk up to Lodge Alley. I'm going to mask up. You guys do what you will. Once we get there, if you want to listen to your spirit box along the way, because it's about 3.5 blocks, I'm listening for names during this time period tomorrow morning. So if you find any names, I'm not going to tell you which names to listen for or why until we actually get there. But that's, if you want to listen, it's completely up to you. If not, it's already recording where I'm going to be able to hear it anyway. So if you want to join the conversation that we'll probably all have. So, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right.
Firm.
Firm. I'm still betting my group of 5 up here for tomorrow. Actually, I think it's 5, sorry. I know
Hi, Eliza.
The first one.
Huh?
She's got a cold waist.
Is this a hotel or a condo? Up top?
Yeah.
The rooftop? What is it?
It's a restaurant. It's an open bar.
Okay, so it's this.
I think we did. Is that no?
I would say in real time, other than things you catch on the spirit box, it's always questionable because you're in real time. That's why I like to throw as many devices out as possible. So like that motion going on back there, and then it's saying, "Hey Nick,"
Right.
that's very,
something.
that's very solid.
Yeah.
It's not really a full conversation. Like, "Hey Nick, how are you doing today?" You know, it's going to be little subtle things, all those little cues. I've had people try to dip on me. Like, yeah.
Wait, here's the new nice.
Everybody's data is together. Right. So, go back and see what happened on Halloween or birthday or whatever. You can use it. It's all posted. I don't think you need to. Feeling like this whole tour was
Did you give you like put all these people in there and just like cold? What the fuck? Oh. There's somebody there, but they haven't shown up on the image. You're a vampire.
I think I heard. What are those songs?
Get the keys.
Pale.
You went there? You hear that? He said, "What's the most haunted place you've ever been?" Because he goes to investigate Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Flight 93.
Really?
Like, that just totally gave me chills.
So, you gotta remember, yeah, so Stories in the Cemetery is more than just a tour, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
So my investigations are all on the podcast. So that'll be at the top of your data page if you want to hear other places I've
Talking
been
about
to.
everybody trying to debunk him. I'm like, yeah, people probably think you like program.
I get people like, why are your hands in your pockets? Are you making the stuff go off? I'm like, yeah, you want to see what's in my pockets?
And I don't think you, yeah.
And I got enough pockets on me. Did you hear any names?
Not really.
No, they're yelling.
This is considered a quiet area, so this is a place where we're going to put them down. It's good, this is a hotel, so I know it's a Friday night, and there's probably people out partying. I follow the rules.
Baby George or Toby, but I was like,
here, and we won't be here long. It's more about like that rebuilding on the way here. So when we crossed that last crosswalk, that was the Charlestown Wall. So Charleston used to be Charlestown, and it was a walled city. So that was where the wall went up Cumberland Street, and I'll point it out again because that's where we end up. But this would have been one of the first streets that we ever had. That's why I like to bring you guys up here. The cool thing is these giant buildings you see, they weren't here. This was little shopping houses. This was a neighborhood. When I say listen for names, it's because I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. So the names I get commonly are Benjamin and John. And John's last name is Johnson, ironically. So I usually get Johnson from time to time. And when I say Benjamin and John lived here, they both were here in 1801, and they were 2 out of the 5 residents. So again, it's not ironic that I probably get those names together in the same night about once a month. So I just never know when it's going to pop up. This was also where the Masonic Lodge was for Charlestown. So this is why it's called Lodge Alley. That's Lodge Alley Hotel. Everything around here is based around that Masonic Lodge. Welcome to Friday night in Charleston, guys. But these cobblestones you guys are walking on, these are clay bricks. They're handmade, hand-laid. Obviously, they're not spaced evenly. Those kind of things. There's different methods or different theories about why these bricks in the center are faced the way that they are.
Water runoff.
It's water runoff, exactly. Most people say that this is exactly how they were on the ship when it came over, or whatever. No, it's simply for water runoff. People lived here. They needed a place for sewage. So we're also talking about 1800s. Plumbing wasn't really around until the late 1870s, 1880s, and that was even if you had it. These people were lower class. They didn't have plumbing. Also keep in mind that the Charlestown Wall went down East Bay Street, across the street from where we were. So that smell of low tide would have been coming through here all the time. They did an archaeological dig here and found some of their tools and silverware and stuff, and they were able to classify they were lower class, and they found evidence of fires. So there's plenty of fires down here too. So there's all kinds of weird things that come out of the spirit boxes from here. It doesn't happen often. I just like to make, we could take that chance. Not to mention, it's one of our first streets of Charleston. So it's nice to actually see a little bit of cobblestone.
Yeah.
So we are going to walk through the rest of the alley. We're going to be in a neighborhood. That's where tour guides aren't allowed to be tour guides. So we're going to just be 4 friends walking around with handheld devices until we get to our next stop. And then, like I said before, we're going to be getting into the legends and lore. We're going to go right up to that church steeple that you guys see there, off to the left from where you're standing. That's St. Philip's. So if you guys haven't been there, most ghost tours go there. It's going to be very busy. I'll probably be masked up the whole time. Again, do what you will. But I don't go all the way up to the cemetery just because the other tours take so much time there, and it's not necessary. I'm going to tell you that quick story because it's literally like 2 minutes long. If we get stuff wrapped around it, awesome. Are you getting any words? Because this is where I kind of...
Emma. Finally got a name.
What else you got coming through?
Spark.
Fire.
Fire.
Ah.
No, I know what that one's related to. That's cool. That's again, I wait for the data to tell me which story I need to tell. So that's a lightning strike. That's what that is.
They're definitely talking more now.
Yeah.
It's popping. It wasn't popping for a while.
And tomorrow morning at the top of your data page, all the apps and stuff that I use regularly are all listed up there too. So if you guys want to use stuff like this, it feels like summer.
Yep.
We're getting there. Give it one more term before we move on, if it's going to do anything. But Emma, it's not a name I'm related.
Not a name you're familiar with.
Not in the stories I tell.
Give us one more name.
Is Ben around? Or is John around?
And the EMF here is usually pretty dead. So if I do get anything, it's probably based off the restaurant. See how it's like 1.4 to like 1.8? It's based off the restaurant and the kitchen and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, all right,
Let's go.
Everybody see? I know you got open toe shoes on. You need a flashlight?
No, I'll be alright.
Interesting term I don't see all the time.
Guy's got dementia.
So the alley you were talking about with the duels, that's it right there. But we're we're going to be on the other side of it. That's actually a shortcut I used to take, and then I would take people all the way down to Queen Street.
When you see something, I mean, is it like what you see on like TV? Is it like kind of like a little misty kind of?
So
No, he says he sees stuff all the time.
it just depends on the location. I'll be honest, weekdays we get more activity than weekends.
Okay.
But everybody wants to go on the weekends because you guys are here on the weekends. But you know, when you actually catch something in real time, it's like, I'll tell you when I'm excited. I'm not I'm like, guys, this was really cool. The Hey Nick thing, that's really cool
That's
stuff.
cool. Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty hip to that. But again, I'm almost numb to it because in that location, it happens often that my name will show up, or hello, or something along those lines. As soon as I say, hello, Eliza, it's Nick again. You know, and I'll test theories, and I'll walk away from you guys and say, hey, Eliza, tell somebody how many people are here with me. There's 3 of you. That's a very specific number. But, you know, I'll do stuff like that. And I used to use that one, like, just for me. But most people got really interested in it, so I made it its own device. And I would take the skeptic aside. Like, all right, Charles, I got a skeptic here. Put your name on the screen for me. Boom, Charles would happen. I've done it 3 times in the past 2 years.
But
Like,
you set that up. You know
yeah,
that.
they all think I set it up. They all do.
You're a colleague.
Can you hold it? Cool, huh?
There's that Philadelphia alley, the dead end that he was joking about today.
Wanna walk down it? Can we walk down it?
You get a lot of like hits in here.
I did. I'm still going to tell you the story,
Okay.
but I'm going to tell you the one.
Can we walk down it?
Can if you want. The dude's going to come out screaming. He's going to see the equipment.
I'll just put it in my shirt.
Costume.
This says power off or restart.
We're good. As long as that red square's on there, we're good. It's still a regular phone, so you accidentally hit buttons and whatever happens all the time. And let me know if you get a color, the specific color that goes with a touch screen.
Okay.
It says
Score.
go!
4 and 7 years ago.
Okay. James.
That could be somebody related.
No, now it says matted.
Mateo. That's very
Very
specific.
specific.
Mateo. Who's Mateo? Tell me who Mateo is. It's fascinating.
Mateo
I love
is
it.
the kid from Neverending Story.
I mean, that's really specific. Give me more.
Stop here by the tree. Give the other tourists a chance to use the cemetery because we're gonna. I mean, we can go up there if it's still empty when I'm done here at this corner. And that's where you guys could actually take a little breather. So this is the other side of Philadelphia Alley. So you guys know that it was Melrose Alley already. You guys know the story there.
20 people died, or
It's
really all we
the
know.
story of the doctor, the whistling doctor.
Oh no.
Oh, they didn't tell you that. Well, first off, there's a doorway over there, and the doorway is for when there was an actual death in a duel. They would pick up the dead guy, bring him through the courtyard, and take him over to St. Philip's, go drop the body, and then they would go celebrate the winner. So nobody ever talks about why that doorway is actually there, but that's it. Pretty cool for talking about death all the time. But anyway, there was a doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island. His name was Joseph Brown Ladd. So the name Joseph and Brown show up here all the time. But he moved down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancee Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her fiance or from her dead parents. So the attorney that was handling all that, see, look, here comes one of the large groups. The attorney handling all that money told Amanda, "You're not getting married yet. Send the doctor away." So he moves here. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed uptown. So not a very good start. But somebody walking by, a local, seen what was going on and said, "Let me take you somewhere else." It took him to 59 Church Street, which we're on Church Street, so it's about a mile down this way. So it's not a tour, maybe it's just a bunch of wild kids. He's like, "My people." Sorry, you look young. My daughter's probably older than you.
Oh, yeah.
How old are you? My daughter's 20.
Wow, you look young.
Yeah, my oldest is 20 and my youngest is 15. So, 2 daughters.
Sweet.
But anyway, back to the doctor. So he moves to 59. Him and Ralph become friends. And the attorney's name was Ralph Isaacs, by the way, the guy that saved him. So the doctor, his practice starts to take off. So he starts whistling all the time. He's a happy guy, which means Amanda's going to be moving down soon. Everybody called him the whistling doctor. So because the doctor made so much more money than Ralph, they had to go see plays together, but they were sitting in opposite seats. They didn't have to. They wanted to. It's kind of like going to see the movie with a friend, but he makes more money than you, so you get the crappy seats. So they talked about these plays on the way home. They go see William III. They start arguing about the new actress that was here. The doctor loved her. Ralph did not. It turned into an insult party on the doctor's fiance back home. They get pissed. They go their opposite directions. Ralph, being from here, calls a newspaper, places an ad, says what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. The doctor sees it, rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. They take the 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend, he just wanted to make a point. But Ralph still had his one shot. He takes it out on the kneecap on the doctor. So he didn't come through the death gate. His friends picked him up and they carried him home to 59 Church Street. Again, the number 59 is another specific number here. He dies 10 days later. So they say as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles of the doctor. So it was another piece for me to show up another piece of equipment that I'm holding when I took my groups down there. It's like everybody spirit boxes down. This is where you're gonna listen to your spirit boxes. Or listen to the audio.
I can hear it.
The whistling. Irony is I usually get a lot of whistles on your spirit box, like literal whistles on radio stations when I'm telling the stories. So again, can't make this stuff up. I usually find it the next morning. But that's the story of Dueler's Alley that is normally told. So, but again, it's Philadelphia Alley now because Philadelphia saved us after one of our many, many fires. There was a lot of renaming of the place. It was also known as Cow Alley before Dueler's Alley because that's where we kept all the livestock. It didn't go all the way through to Queen Street. It actually extended a little bit further that way. So they cut it short at this end and extended it down to Queen, and then they started putting houses down there, so now it's residential. Again, we're not allowed to be tour guides in residential areas. Let's tell the story of Nettie. Nettie is, because that's where the spark is coming from. I want to see if more comes out of that. So there was, first off, do you guys see the burning gas lamp off in the distance there?
Yeah.
That's the Pirate House. So you can't miss it. It's got a big anchor on the front. Somebody lives there. Don't go in his backyard. He gets pissed. Don't ask me how I know. I'm back there digging around. But anyway, that's where Blackbeard's men used to come off the ships, and they would meet with a few girls, have a few drinks, have a place to stay. But they dug a tunnel from the Pirate House underground over one block to Dock Street Theater. They would go to Dock Street Theater for work because pirates tie really good knots. So they would work for a day in between all the bartering among the locals. So I talk about all that because Dock Street Theater used to be called Planters Hotel. Sorry, I haven't told this story in a while. I had to stop the thing. But there was a young lady that worked at the church, and she was past the marrying age of 17. She was 23. Nobody wanted to marry her. She was an old maid. So she got a job at the church, but she sees all the prostitution going on down at Planters Hotel. So she buys a red dress. That's why I said costume. I'm trying to put all this together. And she goes down and gets herself a job. She's the best loved girl in the whole place, but she's still not happy. It's not what she thought it was going to be. So she used to go out to the second story balcony and ponder about coming back to the church. The priest goes down to talk to her one night, and if you get Charles around that, that's going to, Charles Town. Yeah, I got Town. I'm waiting for Charles to show up.
Okay.
So the priest goes down there to talk to her about coming back to the church. Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaned on and strikes her dead. Now they say you can see her from the knees up only. Why? Because when we renovated it back in the early 2000s, we raised the first floor ceiling. So she's walking on the floor, the second floor that she knows. So again, you can only see her from the knees up and in color. So do I have any evidence of all of this story? I don't, other than some little pieces that have come out of the tours. When I actually did my investigation there, it came up empty. Only because I believe it's haunted from something else, of things that I don't have access to. There is wood that was recycled from an old mansion near the Radcliffe Borough area, and it was brought up here in the early 1800s to help with the renovation of Planters Hotel into the first Dock Street Theater, and it's still there, I just can't reach it. It's their 12-foot chair rail on the second story balcony, and then the doors going into the main entrance. They don't allow people in there when there's not a play going on. And every time I go see a play there, I always get the balcony. I like to sit up there. So I have been in there several times. It's beautiful. You can tour it during the day. Yeah, it's gorgeous. But that's the story there. I'm trying to think what else. Lots of legends and lore around here. Last but not least, I'll kind of give you the Bocce's. We did pass that brick building over there in the corner. That used to be a restaurant called Bocce's. It was an Italian restaurant, but they closed down because it's too haunted. Mirrors fall off the walls there that don't break. It's kind of a portal, so when something's coming through, it's not breaking it, it's keeping it together. And then the doors don't like to stay locked in there either. So that's an interesting part. I don't know if they were doing the whole story about the cemetery. Most ghost tours stop here at the corner because of the sign that's just inside the gate. It says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. Because in 1888, a young lady died named Sue Howard Hardy 6 days after her stillborn child. Ghost hunters like me were back there trying to take pictures and trying to capture this apparition that this local photographer caught in 1987. He couldn't get the picture debunked, but it is a very full apparition. And the picture is cursed. Females that hold it, I don't show it on purpose because obviously a very superstitious guy. The females that hold it, you're going to get the same symptoms I told you about at Big John's. So if we get something related to that, I'll always put that heated warning in your notes. But females that are pregnant and holding it, not going to have a good pregnancy. I'm not going to be the result of somebody's bad deal of a nice vacation. So we can go up there and look, but I also want you to take note. See the light over there by that tree? They put that light in there on purpose. It actually faces out here to Church Street, so people like me, we got ghosts.
Oh, jeez.
So that way people like me can't actually get another apparition because they don't want people like us up there. But yet every tour stops up there. But you guys need to see an old cemetery anyway. It's not like you guys haven't been up here. I'm sure you have, but didn't even notice the sign.
No, we haven't.
Ghost of St. Philip's is the Holy Ghost.
What did you say?
The only
There's the
ghost.
sign that says the only ghost of St. Philip.
And that light over there, you can notice it's different from all the other lampposts in there. It's shining right at us on purpose, so that way nobody can actually capture anything. And the other interesting thing is that there's two sides of the cemetery. We have the eastern side and then the western side over there. This side is for the native Charlestonians. That's for everybody else. Calhoun.
Yeah, we heard that today.
Yeah, about Calhoun being moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crossed it several times.
Yeah. They couldn't figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. So, got anything else crazy going on there?
Clear.
Yeah.
We're all clear.
Yeah, here comes another crazy tour. Let's go learn about a crazy pirate and do our last investigation. A little bit more history and then we'll get into the investigation. This story's a little crazy. Gets a little nuts. A lot of twists and turns. Did it go to that stop again?
It's not bad.
Okay. You still got a red square?
Yep.
Good. Alright, so this is the Powder magazine. Remember I told you guys about the Charlestown walls? It came right up Cumberland Street. This is the street that I was telling you guys about earlier. So this actually held the gunpowder for all of the different wars. So it actually served in 7 different wars. And the Charlestown wall from this end went actually 1 block past the Powder magazine and started going down towards the battery. So it's literally right in the corner.
You said battery.
It did say battery. There's 2 of them. I was going to tell you about the other one here in a minute. Interesting. It says batteries.
Yeah.
Either that or somebody's batteries are draining. So, interesting. So this is tucked in the corner on purpose because it's 3 blocks away from the water. So if it gets attacked, it's got 35-inch thick walls, 32-inch thick walls. Sorry. So it's going to be very hard to penetrate that wall. But in the event that it does and the gunpowder explodes, there's sand in the roof of that building that's supposed to blow up in the air from the explosion and then drop down to put out the fires. It's supposed to have its own effect to save itself. It doesn't work. We had another battery close to the, or another magazine close to the battery. Now you got me all confused. That's interesting because I think it was identical to this one. That's very cool. But another magazine, you got me all confused when it said batteries. I'm thinking, oh, these are 2 batteries. No, it's 2 magazines. So there was another magazine very close to the edge of the water. It did get attacked. It did explode. Sand went up, fell, could not put out the fires. The whole building burned to the ground. It's no longer like that. So, those crosses that you guys see, those aren't crosses. Those are actual earthquake bolts. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that they put up. You guys are Californians, right? You know what those are. Is that a real thing? Like, does that actually work? Like, if you actually tighten them up, does the building straighten back up again? No, I didn't think so. So we have them all over the place. Even the apartment building behind here has them on every floor. So, but anyway, the reason why we point out this building here specifically.
What's this say?
Flee.
Flee.
Like,
Now.
Like run away.
Now.
Closure.
It says now we're leaving.
This building was built, this is our oldest government building on the East Coast. It was finished in 1713. Keep in mind, it's not our oldest building in Charleston, but this is very familiar to a young lady that moved here with her dad in 1708, because it was being built during that time. She moved here with her dad and his mistress, who was her mother. They moved here to get away from his wife. You guys following me?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of weird deceivement in this one. So, her name was Anne Cormack. She obviously sees this building being finished. She becomes a teenager. We have pirates coming through town. She falls in love. So obviously dad doesn't approve. We're talking like 1714, 1715. This guy's name was James Bonney. James Bonney, obviously a pirate. Dad doesn't approve. They move to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, which is probably, if you're into pirates, a very familiar name. So Anne Bonny, she realizes that James isn't the pirate she wanted. She really wanted that Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp guy, right? A kick-ass pirate. She was kind of a kick-ass chick. He wasn't it. He was a privateer, which basically meant he was a spy for the British. So he's a coward. She doesn't want him. So she falls in love with another pirate. His name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name, much younger guy, much, looks better than the other guy. So Calico Jack tries to buy the dowry from James. He refuses. So she says, whatever, I want to be part of your ship anyway. He says, well, females, they curse pirate ships. So you're going to dress like a guy to be part of my crew. You could be a female in my quarters. So obviously she agrees. Being a female in his quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. What's Jack do? He drops her off in Cuba. He can't have a pregnant dude on his crew. So in Cuba, she has the baby, comes back to the ship, no baby. We don't know what happened to it. So we don't know if it was male, female, if it stayed there, if it made it, if it didn't. But she's dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. She doesn't care. This obviously makes Jack very mad, so she goes down below deck to start flirting with the crew that he just captured. So she's flirting with this guy, and all of a sudden this guy reveals his gender to be a female, pretending to be a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So this is a woman. Obviously they become friends. Her name was Mary Read. Mary, she convinces her to become part of the crew, and the British fleet rolls in. This is obviously over several weeks, by the way. This isn't all like a one day. So the British fleet rolls in. All the other pirates are down below deck, too drunk, and they're watching the other pirate crew that they captured. They're watching the captives. They can't come up and fight. So it's literally Anne Bonny and Mary Read taking on the entire British fleet, trying to take over the ship. Obviously, the British win. They take them over to Jamaica for their trial. Anne Bonny and Mary Read hurry up and dress like guys again. They're going to reveal themselves in front of a judge, and hopefully they get away with it. The other pirates, they all get tried and hung pretty quickly. The judge wants to see the two ladies that he doesn't know about that they're ladies a week later, because they're the only ones that fought back. He wants to know why. So they go in the trials November 28th, 1720. These are all very specific numbers that like to show up, by the way. So they reveal the gender. Judge says, I don't care. I'm gonna try and hang you anyway. You're still pirates. They said, well, we plead our bellies then. They both claimed that they were pregnant. He said, then we'll just delay your hanging. Keep in mind, Dad is still here in Charleston. So Dad bails out Anne, brings her back home, and she allegedly gets married again, guy number 4, because we're counting Mary Read as a guy that she was trying to flirt with.
Top.
And she allegedly has 4 kids that we know of. We don't know. Again, her story kind of goes all over the place when she comes back here.
Likelihood? Okay.
What happened to Mary Read? She died in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. And that was a year after she was captured. So, that's the tie to the Powder magazine. I like to get a little bit closer to it. We can check out the front of it. You can ask whatever questions you want here. I'm not going to give you those suggestive thoughts. I gave you all of the facts that I know. When I say facts, it's because I wrote down all the different things from all the books I read about this woman. There's a lot of them. And only wrote the common things down. They all have a different version of this story. So, let's crank that thing up. Let's see what happens. I get some weird stuff out of the thermal imaging here, so let me know if you see any glitches. I'm going to play with the millimeter here. See what we get.
question, Tom? Oh.
This is usually a dead spot for EMF, so it usually doesn't do much here.
Those we will call.
We will call.
Inside tap now.
Text with Leo.
So did we take that idea from California, or was it vice versa on the earthquake bolts?
It's probably here first.
You think?
Yeah, because California is, I mean,
When was California established?
well,
Roughly.
I mean, there was the 49ers, so I mean, became a state in 1765 or something like that.
Because, I mean, we didn't start doing that until after our big earthquake scare in 1880.
But I don't think they were, I mean, they were all wooden structures there. They weren't stone as much. So that's where I had the San Francisco fire and
Mm-hmm.
the San Francisco earthquake took out a whole bunch. So, I mean, they're retrofitting now, but it's a separation of the foundation and the house. It rolls. And so when there's an earthquake, the house sits, the foundation kind of sits, and the bolts move. So the house will rock back and forth, so that everything just sits. So the ground will be shaking underneath it.
Uh-huh.
The house stays.
Interesting.
So, but then there's
Does that work?
then there's a yeah. The retrofitting is really
Got
works.
130.
But they've got all the gas lines have like a bubble stopper
Okay.
that if it shakes too much, the bubble falls down and blocks the gas line.
So, okay.
So it cuts off the gas of the house.
Pretty cool.
So,
We don't have crazy stuff like that
yeah.
here.
So California's got some high tech stuff, but all the houses are retrofitted. Everything you have to do is now retrofitted. It's all bolted down differently, so the top half of the house will sit there and go back and forth.
That's crazy.
So
3000 alley unusual.
You got an alley on there?
Mm-hmm.
How far back was that?
Um,
Was that in here?
yeah.
30.
Yes.
Yeah, 30 and 100 don't really match up to anything.
house says gas.
Territory. When she went to trial, and she was born in 1697.
Said no.
And I'm surprised. I mean, this is pretty steady right here, and I don't think I'm close enough to the street for that to be. Normally, when it's steady, I'm like, it's got to be something man-made. It's got to be. I want it to go erratic, like it would have was doing back there. After Pinky Mansion said.
Start watching.
Yeah, if you look at these here, like they're not even really attached to the building. Like they're not flush with the building at all. Like they're wrought iron. They're starting to come off. Yeah.
So just probably to support it. It's probably bolted on this side to hold the wall so it won't cave in.
Right.
So,
But the sand is still there. They did some roof repairs in the 90s before they made this a museum, and they found the original sand in there from 1712.
yeah.
Really cool. It's a cool museum. Like it's like a 30-minute tour in there. It's not anything elaborate. It's not a
Yeah,
big
so
deal.
that's probably just there in case. So it's probably, is it more for the earthquake or for an explosion? Because it'll hold the wall. If it's bad, it'll hold the.
These
it'll-
weren't there when it was originally built. This is for the earthquake.
Uh,
These were the first earthquake bolts we put in, probably right around 1890.
so they're probably trying to hold the whole big area because of the weight of the sand. It's reinforcing. It's like rebar.
White. Is that supposed to be funny?
I like how you're using it as a walkie-talkie.
I am. Talk to me. Menu. bite from the menu.
Huh?
They're hungry.
Small bites.
So there is a story of a restaurant nearby.
Okay.
And again, I told you about Bocce's, but there's another one. I want to see if another name pops up somewhere.
Okay.
This thing just went nuts a little.
All right, show me. Let's go.
Something said Charleston.
Well, that's common. It's a Charleston radio station. I
You
ignored
said what
those.
city do you like? What'd you say? What'd you like the most?
So it's like 7153 Charleston.
But what'd you ask?
Oh, I just said, which husband did you like the
Oh.
most?
Oh, which husband? I have had the term calico show up before too. Like, again, can't make this stuff up.
What kind of
That's-
cat do you like? Calico cat?
This is too steady of a number. Now it's going play.
Huh?
There's that song that's like straight too far from the sidewalk, but it's just like straight too far.
Something really cool to come through that before we wrap it up. Or either spirit box, really. Any glitches that you can see on yours? When I say glitches, it's going to be like white sparks coming through or anything where it looks like it's not calibrating and it's just kind of stopping. It's been happening a lot lately. A few weeks ago, somebody was filming the person with that spirit box. Lawrence.
Warrant?
So what's your name? And it immediately said Lawrence. That's weird.
Warrants for the arrest?
Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence.
But a white film came over the person that was holding that spirit box and then it quit. So it was kind of like, alright, what's going on there? Like it died. Like the battery was dead. We walked away, it started back up again.
Lawrence? Hi, Lawrence.
Age something.
It's a baby.
Maybe that's the baby you're missing. Maybe he's Lawrence.
Or Mateo.
Yeah.
Was in Cuba. Can you tell us where you had your first baby? Ann Bonnie?
Where did you have your first baby? On the street. I still can't believe it said Phoenix.
Yeah, I can't wait to catch that from my mom. So when I go through your data, I give you like markers. So I'm gonna go through not all of it. That'll take away the fun from mom because she's gonna be listening to this thing the whole way home. But I'll give you probably 10 to 15 things that I heard, and then if they're relevant, it's just gonna help train you listen to it. If they're relevant, I'll give you the explanation and a couple backlinks to check out why that term is relevant. And Hey Nick is obviously something that happened to us, relative to us, but it'll also be on the recording that this thing was going crazy right before it said it. This thing is a earbuds, so I'm going to shut it down.
Do you have any questions?
What was the name of your pirate ship?
I always forget that question. That's pretty specific too. I honestly can't remember what it was. It's an odd name. It wasn't like William or the Revenge or anything. It was,
You remember the name of your pirate ship?
Here's radio.
Radio? Oh, interesting.
concerned about.
Was there a favorite treasure you had? What was your favorite port?
Probably Nassau. Where all the pirates during the Golden Age.
Drink.
What else possible? It's Macy's Friends and Family.
Macy's Family.
Alright, let's call it on that one. I'll take that from you.